Hey friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and today I'm crafting with the Merry Moments holiday kit from Spellbinders, and I'm kinda sorta playing along with Sheetload of Cards by Call Me Crafty Owl. If you're not familiar with Sheetload, you can check out Call Me Crafty Owl's channel, and she makes these available for free each month, and you have the entire month to download the latest and greatest sheetload of cards. So do pop on over if you want to check it out. I'm kind of sticking to the sketch. The nice thing with Alicia's sketch is that if you get the sheet load, it's a PDF file where she actually gives you a cutting guide for how to cut down your 8.5 by 11, your 12 by 12 pattern papers. Sometimes she uses 6 by 6 pattern papers, and that way it minimizes your scraps. But this month it's 12 by 12, and what comes in the kit is 6 by 6 pattern papers. So I'm just sort of winging it. So I'm not really following her cutting guide, but I am more or less following her sketch because she also gives you all of the dimensions for everything, which I think is really nice. Because then if you want to follow along precisely with the sketch, you can. So I'm making all the cuts about the same size as what Alicia has in her sketch, but I'm adding an extra layer of pattern paper because these papers are just so gorgeous. So I'm starting off with a 4 by 5.25 piece of pattern paper, and that's gonna be my foundation to build everything on top of. And what's cool about this sketch is that there's sort of the illusion that there's like these 1 inch tall strips going all the way across your card, but really it's just small little scraps. So you can see me kind of laying them out here. And that's always something really fun to do with your scraps left over because you don't necessarily have to always use a full strip. You can get by with just laying down some scraps and just making it seem like there's a full strip going all the way across. So that's kind of fun to do. And what I'm actually, I'm gonna try to minimize my scraps, but I know I'm gonna have some left over because I am just sort of building up these sketches on the fly. So I'm not thinking too hard about being super conservative and making this a no scrap card making session. I'm really just looking to play with the different patterns, mix and match the different patterns, and whatever scraps I have left over, what I might do, possibly off camera or possibly in a separate video, I'll just see what cards I can make with the leftovers afterwards. But today I'm just going to try to focus on sort of making a sheet load of cards. We'll see how many I end up actually making, but I know that the pattern papers in this paper pad go together so well. So I'm just going to continue to pull out different pattern papers and see how far that gets me and how many different cards I end up making. Ultimately, I think I got what I needed. There was enough to make 3 cards, but I did pull out a lot of different patterns, and it's really fun to see how all of the different pattern papers work together. And so I was able to try to use some of the scraps, or as much of the scraps as I could, but there's still a little bit, definitely enough to make a couple cards, I think. So I'll probably have another little crafty session with those afterwards. This last one though that I started, I think that might be my favorite. You'll have to let me know as you see these cards evolve which one you think is your favorite, but the green and gold one I feel has a very nice monochromatic feel to it. And that one turned out a lot nicer than I actually expected. And it was the last one. It was the last one that I made also. Now, the solid color cardstock that I've brought in, that's all from the kit as well. So that's the nice thing about this kit is that you get all of this lovely pattern paper. I basically just stuck to Yeah, I don't think I used anything that's not in the kit. So even this gold mirror card is from the kit. The pattern papers are from the kit, and the solid color cardstocks are also from the kit. Even the pink ones that I used on the first two cards. And I'm gonna adhere this first one, but then I did the next two off camera. So I'm using the roll of double-sided adhesive tape that comes in the kit, and that's one of the things that's kind of nice about this is that it makes for a really great present. Also, if you wanted to give this as a gift to somebody who might not be a crafter and might not have all the craft supplies that some of us have, like stamp positioning tool, die cutting machine, things like that. There is a 4x6 stamp set in this set, but I didn't even use it on this set of cards. There's just so much in this kit that you don't even have to use the stamp set, and there's plenty of different options for focal images, sentiments, and there's even adhesive. So really, you don't have to go too much further beyond what's in the box. I think probably the thing that I used outside of the box was a paper trimmer. And really that was, and I did rely on my T-square ruler a little bit. I've got the Cardmaker's T-square by Pear Blossom Press, and I used it because see these little itty bitty pieces of pattern paper. They're only an inch tall by about 3/4 of an inch or so, and I started with my 4 by 5 1/4 pattern paper as my foundation layer, and then I'm going to attach these little rectangles next because they actually need to go under the next largest piece of pattern paper, and part of it's going to get covered, which is why there's going to be that illusion that it's just one solid strip all the way across, but really it's not. So you can kind of stretch your supplies a little bit by just making it appear as if it's one piece when really it's not. And I'm using the T-square so that I can really line it up, because if it's off, if it's crooked, then that would definitely sort of give things away that it's not one piece that goes all the way across. But see how once I get this pattern paper on top, it really does look like there's just the one, the two full strips that go from one end to the next. And while I appreciate that the kit does include the rolls of double-sided adhesive, I do have to say it's a lot slower than something like using your liquid adhesive. But with the pattern paper, because it is a little bit on the thinner side, I prefer to actually use the dry adhesive tape, even though it's a little bit slower for me anyhow than just squiggling on some liquid adhesive. I feel like liquid adhesive might possibly have the effect of maybe warping your paper a little bit, or if you don't burnish well, you might see some glue lines, because liquid adhesive, like a PVA glue, is water-based. And so that's going to soak into your paper, and with thinner papers, it might have an effect on the paper that is, not preferred. So there is that possibility. If you do like crafting with a liquid adhesive, a solvent-based glue would be good for thinner papers. So something like the Kalau all-purpose glue would be really good because it's solvent-based. It won't actually soak into your paper, so it won't wrinkle it, it won't warp it, and it's going to actually give it some extra strength and durability. So that's always an option. Now with my 3 cards, kind of the sketch is complete essentially. Now it's time to just decorate and have some fun. So I'm using a lot of the decorative elements that come in the kit. There's just so much in this kit. I do have an unboxing if you want to check out everything that comes in the kit, but you're gonna find a little bit of everything. So there's pattern papers we've already seen. There's ephemera, and there's actually two big ephemera packs. One that's more like your focal images, and then there's a second ephemera pack that has more of your sentiments in there. There's also these really thick, I used it on the first card, the word cheer. It's these really thick foam. There's both sentiments as well as images, so you get those as stickers. You get like 10 sticker sheets, which have a really nice variety of sentiments and images. Some of it's unusual though, I think, because few of the sheets, it feels like they are thicker, like a thicker sort of sticker, and then some of them are more of your printed, almost like an acetate because it's clear. And then some are just thin, almost like the pattern paper, like the same thickness of the pattern paper. So there's a little bit of a mix there. They're not all consistently sort of the same thickness, the same style of sticker. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then of course there are some chipboard embellishments as well. There's just loads to craft with here, and it's always fun whenever I get these kits to, whenever I do the unboxing, I don't open the ephemera packs just yet, because I think that's part of the fun of the kit, is just discovering all the little elements that you have to craft with. And this is the card that I feel like is my favorite out of the three that I made, and definitely let me know which one is your favorite, if you have a favorite, because this one, I feel like, kind of came out of the blue. Wasn't really it was almost an afterthought, because I had a piece of pattern paper left over, and I just wanted to use it because it was such a large piece left over. I knew I could definitely use it as one of the pattern paper pieces that fit the card sketch. And so I just decided to pull more papers out and try to use up the scraps that I had already started. And it turned into this really lovely, kind of a very not quite, well, I guess it's sort of monochromatic if you well, not really, because there's green and gold in there, but I just like just that one little stripe of red going across. I just think is something a little bit different. And then I brought a little hint of that red to the inside of my cards. Now, I don't normally decorate the inside of my card because I always kind of forget that it's there until I have to actually like send the card out and write a message. But with these cards, I did, because there's so much to craft with, I did make sure that I opened the card and actually decorate the inside of it a little bit. And I think that's a nice little treat, because I don't think you always see that, or ever see that really, in a store-bought card. Normally you see, the greeting or the sentiment on the inside, but I don't know how often you see the inside of a card that you would buy, like at the grocery store, for example, or at a card shop. I don't know how often the inside is actually decorated. And so it is kind of fun to bring some of the decorations, especially since we have so much to craft with. I mean, there's plenty to create with, way more supplies than I think you get 25 card bases and envelopes, and I'm pretty sure you can make way more than 25 cards with what they've supplied. So there's a lot of craftability with this kit, and plenty to decorate the insides with as well. So I have been using a little bit of the foam adhesive squares that come included in the kit as well. And you actually get two of these little pads of foam. It's kind of a thick foam. I feel like this is a good thickness for something like a shaker card. Um, Truth be told, I for layering, I actually really prefer a more low profile foam, something like 1 millimeter foam, because then I can actually do multiple layers even. But if you don't have anything else, it's nice to actually have some foam because then you can pop things up and give things some extra dimension. So here's a final look at the 3 cards that I made. Again, this one's my favorite, I think. I really like how that one turned out on the inside as well. And it's a lot of fun sometimes to play with card sketches, and Sheetload of cards is definitely one of my favorites. If you actually want to follow along with the cutting guide and everything, then pop on over to Call Me Crafty Al's channel and get the free Sheetload. And if you're interested in picking up the Merry Moments holiday kit, I'll leave links to that in the description box below. Thanks again, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.